Hello everyone, this is Dr. K. Jagannath, Professor in MBA Department, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal, Hyderabad. Today I would like to discuss with you all about capital budgeting. So how capital budgeting helpful to the management while making efficient decisions. And after going through this topic, the learner will be able to understand the meaning of capital budgeting, the importance of capital budgeting, how it is useful in various policy making in the organization, and what are the different types of capital budgeting techniques that we are going to discuss in this session. So capital budgeting, it is made up of two words. One is capital, another one is budgeting. So capital means whatever amount you are going to spend on various activities of the business, like purchasing of raw material, fixed assets, machinery, land, buildings, etc. So that type of investment, whatever we are investing in the business, that is known as capital. So in this context, capital expenditure is the spending of funds for large expenditures like purchasing fixed assets and equipment, repairs to fixed assets, research and development, expansion, and so on. And budgeting is setting targets for projects to ensure maximum profitability. If a firm is having 4 or 5 profitable investments and with the limited available financial resources, the firm unable to decide where to invest. So in that cases, they used to apply different types of capital budgeting techniques, and based on that, they used to evaluate the profitability of each and every investment proposal that are available to the organization. So coming to capital budgeting, it is a process of evaluating investments and huge expenses in order to obtain the best return on investment. An organization is often faced with the challenges of selecting between two or more projects or investment proposals. Sometimes they have to make buy and make decisions and replacement decisions. All these decisions, if they want to evaluate, then capital budgeting is one of the best tool to evaluate that kind of investment proposals. An organization would like to invest in all profitable projects, but due to limitation on the availability of capital in an organization. So out of the limited capital, whatever investment proposals available to the company, they have to select one among them so that they can utilize the financial resources up to optimum level. So organization has to choose between different projects and investments, and capital budgeting as a concept that affects our daily lives. Then coming to the objectives of capital budgeting, capital expenditures are huge and have long-term effect. Therefore, while performing a capital budgeting analysis, an organization must keep the following objectivities in mind. So the first one is selecting profitable projects. So organization comes across various profitable projects frequently. So but due to the capital constraints, an organization need to select the right mix of profitable projects that will increase the shareholders' wealth. The ultimate objective of any businessman is wealth maximization. So first, he always thinks how to maximize his own wealth so that he can invest profitable investment options. As a result, he can maximize his profits. That's how he try to maximize his wealth. Then second objective is capital expenditure control. So selecting the most profitable investment is the main objective of capital budgeting. However, controlling capital ensuring no investment opportunities are lost in the crux of budgeting. So every year the company they have to estimate certain things if they want to survive in the long run. So they need to make number of strategic decisions in the organization. So whenever they are going to come out with that type of strategic decisions like expansion, diversification kind of thing, so they used to see that whether they have sufficient funds available with them or not. Then out of the available opportunities, they used to identify the one which is feasible to the organization by considering the capital expenditure. Wherever possible, they try to minimize the cost. Then third objective is finding the right sources for funds. So here, determining the quantum of funds and sources of procuring them is another important objective of capital budgeting. So finding the balance between borrowing and returns on investment is an important goal of capital budgeting. So it's not always possible the manager or the company has to invest their own share capital. Sometimes they need to borrow from other financial institutions and other sources in the form of debt. So if you want to run the business effectively, the organization may have two types of capital. One is equity, another one is debt capital. And it is the role of the financial manager. He has to procure the funds and he can able to identify what are the right sources for funds. How can they generate funds so that they can invest in the profitable investment opportunities. And coming to the capital budgeting process, it involves 5 steps in capital budgeting process. First one is identifying investment opportunities. Then second, evaluation of investment proposals. And third one, choosing the most profitable investment. And fourth step, capital budgeting and apportionment. And fifth one, performance review. So any type of capital budgeting decisions, it involves all the 5 steps in any type of organization. Then coming to the process of capital budgeting in detail, the first step in capital budgeting process is identifying investment opportunities. So an organization need to first identify an investment opportunity, and an investment opportunity can be anything from a new business line to product expansion or to purchasing a new asset. For example, a company finds two new products that they can add to their product line. So out of two, so first they have to identify which product it generates profits to the company. So based on that, they used to select and what kind of opportunities they may have in the market, what is the their target group of customers for whom they have to produce that kind of products, and how they used to generate the profits. All these things they have to analyze thoroughly by identifying investment opportunities. The next one is evaluating investment proposals. Once an investment opportunity has been recognized, an organization needs to evaluate its options for investment. So once it is decided that the new product or products should be added to the existing product line, the next step would be deciding on how to acquire these products. There might be multiple ways of acquiring these two products. So some of these products could be manufactured in-house. So manufactured by outsourcing, manufacturing the process, or purchased from the market. So due to this kind of investment proposals, the company always they have to decide either they should make or buy decisions. It is very, very important. See, they have to analyze if the company decided to make in their own plant, then what will be the cost of production? How much expenditure incurred to produce those goods? Is there sufficient availability of raw materials? Can we find skilled labor? So all those things they have to analyze before going to take any kind of action. So if they decided to buy from others in the form of outsourcing. So again, they have to evaluate the capital expenditure. Basing on that, they will decide whether they have to manufacture in-house or else they have to go for outsourcing. So once the investment opportunities are identified and all proposals are evaluated, an organization need to decide the most profitable investment and select it. So both the decisions, like previously we have discussed, make or buy. So both we have to evaluate and then we have to find out one which is profitable to the organization. So while selecting a particular project, an organization may have to use the technique of capital rationing to rank the projects as per returns and select the best option available. So in our example, the company has to decide what is more profitable for them, either manufacturing or purchasing one or both of the products or scrapping the idea of acquiring both. Then based on that, we have to prioritize the things and assign ranks and then decide the best option to the organization. Then next step is capital budgeting and apportionment. After the project is selected, an organization need to fund this project. To fund the project, it means that to identify the sources of funds and allocate it accordingly. So first identify the sources. Which type of capital would you like to invest in the investment proposals, whether it is equity or debt capital. Then what will be the channel of your capital? So whether we have only one single channel or we have multiple channels. So all those things we have to decide, and could be reserves, investments and all other available channels. So based on that, first we have to pool the funds, then invest in the one which has been selected by the management as the best option. Then next one is performance review. So performance review is the last step in the process of capital budgeting, and that is reviewing the investment. So initially the organization had selected a particular investment for a predicted return. So now they will compare the investment's expected performance to that of actual performance. Then identify the gap between actual performance and expected performance. So like how every organization, they used to have their own capital budgeting decisions. So these 5 steps are involved in capital budgeting decisions. Then next, coming to the importance of capital budgeting. So capital budgeting helps business prioritize investments, and it is also useful to allocate financial resources more effectively, and we can able to reduce the risk of investing in unprofitable projects and how to maximize the returns. So everything done with reference to capital budgeting techniques. So overall capital budgeting is an essential tool for businesses to achieve long-term growth and success. So it informs long-term investment decisions. So every organization, they will have their own vision and mission. So if they want to achieve the strategic intent in the long run, then they should plan how to reach that organizational goal in the long term. So that is possible with the help of capital budgeting decisions. It reduces risk of unprofitable investments. As we are going to identify the investment opportunities, then we are going to evaluate each and every available opportunity, and we used to select one among the best. That's how we reduce the risk of unprofitable investments. Then it also helps to maximize profits by aligning with business goals. So whenever we want to maximize the profits, so whatever goals of the business, we used to align the profits with the business goals. That's how we used to make the linkage between maximization of profits with that of business goals. and provides a framework for evaluating opportunities. There is a systematic framework using that we can able to evaluate the opportunities that are available in the market, and it promotes long-term growth and success. Go on investing and you can able to generate return on investments by way of selecting the profitable investments. We can also seek the long-term growth and success, and it enables planning and budgeting for future investments. So whatever we are doing today, our intention, wherever you are going to invest, we want to generate some kind of future benefits. Then coming to the types of capital budgeting, there are different types of capital budgeting techniques. So business can use several types of capital budgeting methods to evaluate and select long-term investment projects. So basically we used to categorize the capital budgeting techniques into two types. One is traditional, another one is discounted cash flow techniques. Traditional methods and DCF techniques. So under traditional methods, they ignore the time value of money. See, whatever we are investing today, our intention is we want to maximize our wealth in the future. We need to have some kind of security to our investment by way of generating more returns with limited risk. So according to the traditional methods, they never focus on what is the time value of money, but that we can able to find out with the help of DCF techniques. So under traditional methods, we have two types of methods. One is payback period, another one is accounting or average rate of return. ARR. But whereas coming to DCF, discounted cash flow techniques, we used to consider net profits, net cash flows, and based on that we can also able to evaluate what is the time value of money. So based on that we are going to discuss in this module three types of methods. The first one is NPV method, second one IRR, internal rate of return, and third one is profitability index. So apart from that, we may also have modified internal rate of return, equivalent annual annuity. So there are different types of method, but according to our module and based on the necessity, most of the companies, they used to involve only these three methods in their investment decisions. Coming to the first one, net present value. So this method compares the present value of a project's cash inflows to the present value of its cash outflows, taking into account the time value of money. So how can we find out this time value of money? Means by using discounting factors. So in case of NPV, we used to have the PV factors, present value factors, right? So this we can able to derive with the formula 1 by 1 plus R whole to the power of n. So it based on the cost of capital or discounting factor and what will be the estimated life of the project. Based on that we can able to generate. For example, if the cost of capital K is equal to or K or R is equal to 10%, then one should derive the present value factors by substituting here 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 0. So 1 by 1.10 whole to the power of 0. This is equal to 1. Then coming to first year, it becomes 0.909. If go on substituting like that, we can able to generate the PV factors for each and every year. So like that, these PV factors should multiply with the cash flows, then we'll get present value, and both should be multiplied with the discounting factors. We can able to get the present value of cash flows. So like how we used to calculate the present value of cash inflows as well as present values of cash outflows. And second one is internal rate of return, which is also known as IRR. It is the discount rate at which the present value of a project cash inflows equals the present value of its cash outflows. In simple way, it is the rate of return where NPV is equal to 0, and that rate is known as internal rate of return. It is a measure of the project's profitability. And third one is payback period. This method calculates the time it takes for a project to generate enough cash flows to recover its initial investment. So with the help of payback period, we can able to find out within how much time you are going to recover your initial investment, whatever you have invested in the business. The next one is profitability index, which is denoted as PI. It compares the present value of project's cash inflows to the initial investment, and if profitability index is greater than 1, it indicates the project is profitable. If it is less than, the project is unprofitable. So by evaluating the profitability index, we can also make out which project is profitable and which is not. The next one is modified internal rate of return. MIRR is a variation of IRR that assumes the project cash flows are reinvested at a predetermined rate. So during that kind of situation, if you want to evaluate any projects, then that should be possible with the help of modified internal rate of return. The next one is evaluate equivalent annual annuity or equivalent annual cost, EAC. EAA calculates the annual cash inflows that a project would generate if it were annuity over its life. Then each of these methods has its advantages and disadvantages, and businesses may use a combination of methods to evaluate and select investment. So during the capital rationing technique, if you are going to use the capital rationing technique, so most of the cases we used to consider the profitability index and NPV. Based on that, we used to assign ranks. Whichever is highest, then that particular investment option is given to first rank, second priority, second, third, like that. Based on that, the management has to decide what kind of decisions they have to make. The selection of profitable investments. So capital budgeting helps business prioritize investments and allocate financial resources more effectively, reducing the risk of investing in unprofitable projects and maximizing returns. Apart from that, it also provides a framework for evaluating investment opportunities and assessing their potential risk and rewards. It is like conducting a financial autopsy. You want to examine all details to determine if an investment is worth pursuing. And finally, with the organization's capital structure, when you are considering it as a basis, capital budgeting enables businesses to plan and budget for future investments and making sure they have the necessary financial resources to pursue them. Then coming to the features of capital budgeting. First one is long term, second one it is time sensitive, third risk conscious and predictive, and next one is collaboration and intensive. So coming to the first one, long term, it involves making long-term investment decisions that will affect the company's financial health. And it is time sensitive. It means that it takes into account the time value of money, which means that a dollar today is worth more than a dollar in the future. So it's like trying to decide whether to eat a cookie now or wait for two cookies later. So you have to consider the value of delayed gratification. So that should be time sensitive. And next one is risk conscious. Another feature is risk assessment. Businesses must carefully evaluate the potential risk and rewards of each investment opportunity to make informed decisions. So whatever investment proposal you are talking about, you can able to assess how much risk involved in that and how much return you can able to generate in the future. So that is known as risk conscious. Then next, predictive. Capital budgeting requires accurate financial forecasting, which involves predicting future cash flows and expenses. So whenever you are going to predict or estimate the future financial health, it includes both. You have to predict the future cash flows, how much revenue you can able to generate in the long run, and also how much expenditure is going to incur in that investment proposal. The next needs collaboration. So finally, capital budgeting requires collaboration and communication among different departments and stakeholders within a company. Then coming to the capital budgeting techniques and methods, the first one is payback method, payback period. The payback period is a capital budgeting technique used to determine the amount of time required for a project to generate enough cash flow to recover the initial investment. To calculate the payback period, we need to divide the initial investment by the expected annual cash inflows until the investment is fully recovered. So in this case, we used to discuss about two types of cash flows. One is even, another one is uneven. So in case of even cash flows means every year the company is going to generate the same amount of cash flows throughout the lifespan of a particular project. Then that type of cash flows are known as even cash flows. In that case, the payback period can be calculated. Payback period is equal to initial investment divided by annual cash inflows. For example, if a project costs 25,000 and it generates 5,000 as annual cash flows and the project's estimated life is 5 years or 4 years. So in that case, how can we calculate this? Your initial investment is 25,000 and every year, like all the 4 or 5 years, it may generate the same investment, 5,000 cash inflow, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. So this type of cash flows are known as even cash flows. So simply I am going to divide. This is 5. So within 5 years, the company recover its initial investment of rupees 25,000. Thereafter only it can able to get its profits. So beyond that, it may not get. So payback period is equal to, the formula is initial investment by expected annual cash flows. Then in case of uneven, we used to calculate payback period E plus B by C. See here, in case of uneven, first year the profit is 5,000, second year 6,000, third year 4,000 and fourth year 5,000 or 15,000 like this. In this case, so we used to convert the cash flows into cumulative cash flows. 5,000, 5 plus 6, 11,000, 11 plus 4, 15, 15 plus 13. So out of 25,000, the company can maximum earn 50,000 at the end of third year. So here I am writing 3 plus. The balance is out of 25,000. The balance amount left over is 10,000 and that they can able to generate in the year fourth year, and it is like fourth year's cash flow is at the end of third year. Fourth year's that cash flow is 4,000. So if you can able to find out 3 plus 2.5 years. So total 5 end of 5 years the company can recover its initial investment. So this type of payback period is uneven payback period. So advantages of payback period is simple and easy to understand, useful for evaluating short-term projects, provides a quick assessment of the project risk and liquidity. It can help avoid investments that take too long to recoup their cost and does not require estimating future cash flows or discount rates because it ignores time value of money. Then coming to the limitations, it ignores the time value of money, does not consider cash flows beyond the payback period. So just the organization want to know within how many years they can able to recover their initial investment. So after payback period, they never have any kind of interest to know about the cash flow, cash flows, right? So it ignores profits earned after the payback period. It ignores risk associated with future cash flows and cannot be used to compare projects with different lifespans. Then second method is net present value, which is also known as NPV. It is a capital budgeting technique which is used to determine the value of an investment by comparing the present value of its expected cash flows to the initial investment cost. So NPV is equal to initial investment minus of initial investment plus present value of expected cash flows. Then coming to the advantages and limitations of NPV. NPV considers the time value of money. It accounts for all expected cash inflows and outflows. It provides a measure of the investment profitability and it can be used to compare multiple investment opportunities. Whereas coming to the limitations, it requires accurate estimates of future cash flows and discount rates, and it can be complex and time consuming to calculate because we have to calculate the PV factors or discounting factors. It does not consider non-financial factors such as environmental impact or social responsibility kind of thing. So the decision rule for NPV is if NPV is greater than 0 or positive, accept the proposal, accept the project. If NPV is less than 0 or negative, reject. So that's how we used to evaluate the profitability of an investment option using NPV. The next one is internal rate of return. This is also one type of capital budgeting technique which is used to determine the expected rate of return on investment. What is the discount rate that makes NPV of the project? Expected cash inflows equal to expected initial investment cost. So IRR is calculated by finding the discount rate that makes the present value of cash inflows equal to the initial investment. The formula is IRR is equal to lowest rate of return plus NPV at lowest rate of return divided by NPV at lowest rate of return minus NPV at highest rate of return into highest rate of return minus lowest rate of return, and this method is known as interpolation method of interpolation. Using this, we used to find the rate of return at which the NPV equal to 0, and that rate is known as internal rate of return. Coming to the advantages and limitations of IRR, it considers the time value of money. It accounts for all expected cash inflows and outflows. It provides a measure of the investment's profitability. It can be used to compare multiple investment opportunities, and limitations. It requires accurate estimates of future cash flows and discount rates, and it may lead to incorrect decisions when evaluating mutually exclusive projects. If one project is dependent on other, in that case, it is somewhat difficult to find out the correct decisions or accurate result. May result in multiple IRRs for some projects in case of non-conventional projects. So it is very difficult to calculate IRR. So in that case, it is always better to go with multiple IRR. And profitability index is another method. The profitability index is used to evaluate investment opportunities by calculating the ratio of present value of cash inflows to the initial investment cost. Then calculation of PI equal to present value of expected cash inflows divided by initial investment, where PV means present value, then initial investment means the total cost of the investment, and expected cash flows means future cash inflows discounted to their present value. Then coming to the advantages and limitations of profitability index. So it considers the time value of money. It accounts for all expected cash inflows and outflows. It provides a measure of the investment's profitability. It can be used to compare multiple investment opportunities. So apart from these advantages, profitability index will also have some kind of limitations. It may lead to incorrect decisions when evaluating mutually exclusive projects. It may not always lead to the investment decisions when budgets are limited. Then what are the advantages and limitations of capital budgeting? Advantages of capital budgeting, as we already discussed, so it helps in maximizing returns, it ensures effective utilization of resources, it provides a long-term perspective, and it reduces risk and also facilitates decision making. So it provides a structured and systematic approach for evaluating investment proposals, which facilitates wise decisions in the organizations. Then coming to the limitations, inaccurate estimates. It means that it relies heavily on estimates of future cash flows and discount rates, which may be inaccurate and leading to incorrect investment decisions. And second one is it ignores qualitative factors. So capital budgeting does not consider qualitative factors such as social responsibility or environmental impact, which may be important in cases. And high degree of complexity. Budgeting techniques can be complex and time consuming to implement, especially for large and complex investment projects. Then limited scope. So some of the techniques are limited in scope as they only consider financial factors and do not take into account non-financial factors such as reputation, brand value kind of thing. So for example, if an investment cost 1 lakh and expected to generate 25,000 in annual cash inflows for the next 5 years with a discount rate of 10%, calculate NPV, IRR and profitability index. So here the initial investment IO is 1 lakh and we have given cash inflows 25,000 and cost of capital or rate of return is given in the problem 10%. So to compute NPV, we need to have years, cash inflows PV factor, then present value of cash flows. So if the estimated life of the project is 5 years, so every year the company may generate 25,000, 25,000, like that, even cash flows. Then coming to the PV factor, 1 by 1 plus or whole to the power of n. So 5 years, first year it is 0.909 because 10% discount rate, 826, 751, 0.683, 0.656, like that. Then multiply these two with this and we'll get present value of cash flows. Then find out NPV, summation, present value of cash flows minus initial investment. Then if you get a positive value, then we should accept the project. In case of negative, we should reject. So basing on that, we have to calculate IRR, internal rate of return. IRR means here using the method of interpolation. So at this particular value you got negative value. Then we should go for highest rate of return. Again calculate NPV. Then find out unless until you will get a positive NPV. So at that particular rate of return, using the formula of method of interpolation, then find out IRR. So that is the rate of return where NPV equal to 0. Then coming to profitability index, so summation of present value of cash flows divided by summation of PV of cash outflow or initial investment. So substitute this total divided by your initial investment. If you get PI is greater than 1, then you should accept the project. If it is less than 1, then reject. That's how the companies they used to evaluate the available investment proposals using capital budgeting techniques. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.